The Haftorah portion is 1 Samuel, the 11th chapter, starting with verse 14. It says, Then Samuel said to the people, Come and let us go to Gilgal, and let us renew the kingdom there. So all the people went to Gilgal. There they made Saul a king before Hashem in Gilgal. And there they slaughtered peace offerings before Hashem. And there Saul was, as well as all the men of Israel, rejoiced exceedingly. Then Samuel said to all of Israel, Behold, I have hearkened to your voice, to everything that you have said to me, and I have appointed a king over you. And now, behold, the king goes before you, but I have grown old and gray. For as for my sons, they are with you, and as for me, I have walked before you from my mouth until this day. Hence I am testifying about me in the presence of Hashem and in the presence of his anointed, whose ox have I taken, whose donkey have I taken, whom have I robbed? Does this sound familiar? These are the words of Moses. He says, Whom have I coerced? From whose hand have I taken redemption money, that I should avert my eyes from him, and I shall take restitution to you? And they said, You have not robbed us, you have not coerced us, you have not taken anything from us. So he said to them, Hashem is your witness, and his anointed one is a witness this day, that you have not found anything in my hand. And they said as one, A witness. Samuel then said to the people, as is to Hashem, who produced Moshe and Aaron, who brought your forefathers from the land of Egypt, and now stand erect, I shall enter into judgment with you before Hashem concerning the righteous deeds of Hashem that he has done with you and with your forefathers. When Jacob came from Egypt and your forefathers cried to Hashem, Hashem send Moshe and Aaron. They brought your forefathers out of Egypt and settled them in this place. Let's stop there for a moment. Tonight in the Haftorah portion, we're going to see the stark contrast between ego-driven leadership and leadership out of humility. Two total stark contrast differences. The story is this: the king of Israel at this point was Hashem. Hashem was their king. He liked it that way. But the people continued saying, We want a king, we want a king, we want a king. Samuel, great prophet. As a matter of fact, Samuel was raised in the temple. You remember this? Raised up from a little child. Heard the voice of God calling him from a little guy, little Ty. He knew the voice of God. And when God said, It's all right, that's what they want, listen to him. Do you remember Moses' words at the entrance of Canaan, when he says, And I granted you what you wanted. You wanted to send tourists into the land. You wanted to send scouts into the land. That's what you wanted. You get it, right? Leadership does listen to people. It's important to note that. Leadership driven by ego listens to people for one motive: to take advantage and to put themselves in power. If Samuel was a man of ego, he would have said, Okay, you want a king? I'm your king. Could have easily been done, right? Why appoint another king when I can be the king? I have the Israel's best intention in mind. But what did he remind the people as soon as he anointed Saul as the king? Same thing that Moses did. Moses said, I didn't ask for anything from you. I've never gotten a single donation from you. I've never asked you for a piece of property. I want you to know my hands are clean, and I have done this because this has been the will of Hashem. This is what he wanted. This is what you wanted. You've got it, Toyota. So they asked for it. They got it. And this whole idea is that Samuel reflects back to Moshe and Aaron. And he reminds them of the great responsibility of a people to make sure that they hold their leadership accountable. And what do they hold their leadership accountable to? Holding their leadership accountable to listening to the voice of God. At some point, it becomes a waltz between its leadership and its people. The leadership needs to keep Torah ahead and forefront of everything that he does, so the people can continue to be reminded of the commandments of Hashem. And at the same time, the people need to constantly keep the leadership responsible to walk humbly before the creator of the universe. And we learn later that Saul ends up becoming inflated with the same ego that Korach had. And here's one story that will help cement that. Saul is told to go destroy the Philistines, or is it the Amalekites? Amalekites. He gets into battle and he's told to destroy everything. Animals, leave nothing alive. Don't even take anything. Just destroy it, bury it. When the battle's over, Samuel says, "What's this? You won the battle, but why do I hear sheep and animals and cows and I hear children laughing and I see women? What is the story?" Immediately Saul goes into this great wisdom of ego. His ego steps forward on the stage and he says, "Well, don't you know that I have brought all of these as gifts to the creator of the universe? I have come to bring these sacrifices to Hashem because we know that this is what Hashem needs." Now think about it. How big of an ego do you have to do just the opposite of what God says and then say it's for God's benefit? That's ego, my friend. But you and I have witnessed that firsthand in religion. We've witnessed this firsthand in the religions of our past, that there have been individuals who have completely made statements and ideas and brought forth concepts that were opposite of what God said, and all the while touting it in such a way that it is God's benefit for us to all go along with this. So obviously there was judgment in that. That is an example of how a man can go from being an anointed king to an egocentric driven individual. And we see later on David HaMelech becomes such a humble king, so humble that when Saul is hunting him down, he has the opportunity to kill Saul in a cave and he doesn't do it. Has the opportunity, and he recognizes that he shouldn't touch the anointed of God. He realizes that even though this guy is driven by his ego, I cannot touch him.
He was trying to kill David.
He was trying to kill David, absolutely. And that probably, in all natural things of the world, probably could have done it and got away with it. But the point was, as David says, no, God put this man in. Regardless of what his mental state and spiritual state, God put him there. And therefore, I won't touch him. Can you see the lack of ego in that whole attitude? So what do we learn from this Haftorah portion? We learn this wonderful thing in which it tells us that leadership that is driven by humility is a leadership that really brings down the presence of God in a community and brings down purpose in a community. At the same time, people, if they're not careful, can be persuaded by those who are practicing leadership out of their own personal gain. And I've always heard this, and I love this statement. I wish I'd have come up with it. It says, "Always beware of the prophet who says, 'Thus saith the Lord,' when it benefits him more than it does you." Anytime you hear somebody, I don't care who they are, if they are telling you something that, quote, God says, and it benefits them more than you by you doing it, you should be concerned that they're not operating at the highest level of ego. But a real righteous man says, this is what we do because this is what Hashem does. It doesn't benefit me. It doesn't help me. This is for the sake of Hashem. So that concludes the Haftorah portion.